What is this? Two nerds and drinking coffee? I like it.
Hi, Emilio. Thank you for being part of the Humans of Cybersecurity video series.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Would love to learn more about you, the person behind the CISO of Datadog.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. My name Emilio, Escobar, last name. And currently I am the CISO for Datadog, but I've been in security for ever. So I've worked in different companies, entertainment companies, so Hulu and PlayStation. And then before that, I used to work for the government, the NSA in particular, I guess I can say it. And then before that, I was just a kid in Puerto Rico growing up.
So walk us through how getting your first computer and learning how to hack your way into getting free internet eventually found its way to you getting into cybersecurity. How did that happen?
Yeah. So the first PC that I got was maybe around 92, 93. So you had to get on the internet through like AOL, CompuServe, or any of these all-inclusive providers, right? Where you got email, chat, and all that through them. So we started with AOL. And then we quickly figured out that if you use AOL long enough, they would just keep sending you CDs for 3 minutes. So every time we would get 2,000 minutes or whatever it was, and we would just use it for free. We want to try CompuServe because it was this game about an airplane that you can just fly. And it was online, so you play against other people, and then you can chat with players and all that. So we thought it was cool. But the problem was that it needed a credit card. So we just started typing random numbers and they ended up working. And then 30 days later, we get prompted again. We tried it again and it worked. And then we just kept going. A couple of years after that, we actually had an official dial-up provider. And then we just officially got online through dial-up and started learning more from there. And then it was just reading. So one of the things that I first got into, ironically, my brother got me into it. At first I thought it was silly. It was IRC, Inter-Relay Chat. Ironically, I still remember to this day, how can you just sit in front of a computer for so long and talk to people you don't know? But then I tried it, I met people. It ended up being that I was the one who stuck with it and my brother stopped using it. And then he turned around and be like, how can you spend so many hours in front of a computer? I joined the hackers channel. I was reading a lot and just getting interested in it. Ironically, one of the first things I did was like crash IRC servers. But then I started getting into, let me learn how to write software, how to fix it, not just break it. And then with my computer science degree, wrote exploits, wrote other software, but also built a security product that we sold to the government, joined PlayStation to do product security, internal, like dedicated to that. And then from there, moved up the ranks to where I am now.
I know that you think differently about hackers and whether hackers are part of the system or they are antithetical to the system. Now, there's a really interesting story about your time at PlayStation and how you thought about hacking and someone reverse engineering a PlayStation. Would love to learn more about that.
Yeah, so I think, my experience about hackers in the 90s were just a bunch of nerds that wanted to learn stuff, right? That's what it was. Like, there wasn't anything malicious out of it. I think hackers has taken a negative connotation to that. I've always seen them as people who are just curious about things and they know how to break stuff or they figure out how to break stuff and put it back together. One example is PlayStation. I believe it was for the PlayStation 2. You can buy this mod chip online and you can attach it to the PlayStation 2 and then you can download games online, burn them onto a CD and play them. I thought that was fascinating. I think I can say I benefited from it. I had a bunch of games that I downloaded online and played them. But suing the person who did this attracted some attention, particularly by this hacktivist group, right, that we all know as Anonymous. That was one of the things that attracted me to join PlayStation. So when they reached out to me saying, hey, they were looking for full-time people, I immediately jumped into it. They were hitting PlayStation pretty hard in various ways. So it made it a lot of fun.
We know that you spent some time with the NSA. Now, you probably can't tell us what projects you worked on while you were there, but what were some of those experiences like?
What's that famous saying? I can tell you, but then I have to kill you. I'm kidding. I joined the NSA when I was in college. So they came to my school, they recruited me, and I applied. And then the first thing I did was this thing called a co-op, which is you work there for a semester and then you come back to school and you study and then you do that until you graduate. So I started there, and I believe as a full-timer and then as a contractor, I was there for probably around 10, 12 years. And I did different things. I think the most memorable experience out of that is that I got to deploy to Afghanistan and Iraq a couple times and got to see things that I don't think, had it not been for the NSA, I don't think I would have had that experience.
How did that change you as a person? And how does that influence who you are today?
So, yeah, I think it's a very unique experience. And I feel, honored and blessed to have been exposed to it. But how it changed me in the personal side, I mean, there's still things that I do today from that exposure. I need to sit facing the door when I'm in a public space. I don't like crowded places. I don't like fireworks. And one of the things that it did is it created this sense of distrust in me. Whereas before, maybe being naive, I was like, well, everything is hunky-dory, everyone is to be trustworthy. Now, I don't carry that to work. I believe I joined a company, we're all co-workers and colleagues. But what it did do to me on the professional side, people have not seen me lose my cool. I've had employees of mine tell me that they've never seen me lose my cool, even though when they're like pulling their hair out, say they're in an incident or what have you. When it comes to physical fitness, two things. A, you have to be fit if you're in a war. My exposure to it was almost not being able to get into a helicopter in the time that it was waiting for me. But also it creates this distraction as well, right? So you're in a high stress situation in a war zone. There's a lot of free time. I had to keep my mind busy. So it was either playing games or working out. But that was on the physical side, right? And that's something that I continue now. I don't work out as hard anymore, but that's one thing that I do to distract myself.
We know that being a CISO is not easy. There's a lot of stress associated with the job, and it's only increased over the past several years. How do you deal with that stress? How do you cope with that? What do you do in your personal life that helps you stay calm while doing your job?
Yeah, I think I face stress just like everyone else does. I've had nights that I'm thinking about a problem and I can't sleep just thinking through it because that's just how my brain is wired. But I like to disconnect. And I'm lucky that I've been able to hire people where I'm allowed to do that. I don't like running teams where people feel like they can't take time off or anything like that, right? But outside of work, I like hiking. I like to go camping. I'm a huge TV addict. Any TV series, my wife and I end up watching it over the weekend, and then we get upset that now we gotta wait another year for the next season to start. Sometimes I game online. I write and enjoy company of friends. So that's how I stay. That's how I stay human, I guess.
As you think about hiring, I know you are very passionate about diversity in cybersecurity and how you bring different people of different backgrounds into cybersecurity. Would love to learn more about that.
One of the things that I always think of is that when I started in security, there was no definition as to like what a security person is. And one of the things that I really liked about IRC that we don't have anymore is that you were just a nickname. There was no physical presence to you that people could judge you by. And what only mattered was what you typed. Now that doesn't exist anymore. You have to have a picture associated with it. So I think it carries a little bit more implications, but also the domain has grown so much. We sort of built these barriers on ourselves for what does a security engineer need to be. So I recognize that getting into the field now is much more difficult. So I like getting involved. So the two main ones that I get involved with are Year Up, which is a nonprofit that has chapters in various metro areas, and they help kids from at-risk communities, and they try to close the opportunity divide. And then Techeria, instead of Taqueria, is Techeria, which I find pretty clever. It's another profit that is centered around tech, and they create a community where you can come together and chat, and people review your resume, give you feedback. So I get involved with those as much as I can.
So Emilio, one fun question for you. If you were not in cybersecurity, what would you do?
If I wasn't in security, or say I'm retiring, right? And I don't want to do security anymore. Say I have no limits to what I could do. I will probably go back to Puerto Rico and build a cigar bar and have like live salsa music playing and just bring people together to enjoy a good time.
Emilio, I just wanted to thank you for being part of the Humans of Cybersecurity series. Really enjoyed spending time with you, and thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.